So we're in Liverpool this morning. We've got a DAF XF, model year 17. It's got an exhaust system malfunction and a heater problem. So we'll jump in this truck, see what's going on. Right. What we got on the dash today? We have exhaust system malfunction and washer fluid. Now, we won't necessarily get any faults displayed on the dip to do with the CCC, or cabin climate control as it's known. What we'll do is we'll get plugged in with JAL test from Eclipse Diagnostics now and see what's going on with the heating system. That helps if it's that way, Russ. Good to me. Oh, obtain VIN automatically. 2017. We want cabin climate control. We'll start here. System's on. We'll check the fault codes, see what we've got. So these are the faults we've got here. I'd most probably say if we weren't getting heat or couldn't get rid of heat, our quantity control valve, or 3-2 valve as DAF would call it, is the issue here. What this valve does is divert flow of coolant round the cab. So when it says it's there, it actually means it's by ear. But what this valve does is direct coolant from the engine round the cab, or shuts the flow of coolant off from the engine and just keeps a small circuit round the cab for the night heater, for example. So this is what I'd usually change first, and we'll test that now just to see if it's clicking or moving. I definitely think the customer's going to be changing that, and hopefully we can get it to just do the whole circuit and get some heat into the cab, and then we can check the heater flaps for operation in the cab and see what's going on with that. We'll see if we can actuate the components. Flow control. Our cabin climate control now is going into a diagnostic mode. What we can do with this test now is change it from the small circuit, which is the cab, to the complete circuit, which includes the engine. And we can also feel if it's doing it on the valve itself. Let's get this grill open. So our 3-2 valve is down here. So these are the pipes in question. Our 3-2 valve is just down there behind that metal bracket. So we'll manually check that the component vibrates when it's activated. I'll set this to complete circuit, and with the power that is USB, I'll take the mouse with me. So all I can do now is put my hand on the valve, press the mouse, and it'll swap the circuits from the small circuit to the complete circuit. Oh, I didn't feel a thing there. So what we'll do now is we'll verify the customer's concern. Let's set these heaters to hot. And we'll go and see if any temperatures change, not only in here, but also on JAL test, I think. While the truck's idling now, or warming up I should say, we'll just check the coolant temperature. So we're at 27 degrees at the moment. We'll get this a bit hotter. So as you can see, our flow control valve, or 3-2 valve, is currently set to complete circuit. That's including the cab heaters and the engine. So we'll go and check that the pipes going in and out of the heater matrix now are getting hot. So now we've got some heat in the coolant system, we can check our heater pipes, and that the complete circuit that the JAL test computer is telling us is working is actually doing a complete circuit. And as you can see, both of these coolant pipes are hot. So we've got flow going in and out of the heater matrix from the engine. So the way we're going to see this now is I'm going to pop my little friend in the dash. No, don't be like that. I mean my borescope camera. So we'll get this in here and see what's going on. So what I've got here is my borescope camera set up to point at the air mix flap actuator, What this actuator does is it moves a flap inside the airbox and diverts the air through the heater matrix or shuts it off because the heater matrix is always hot. So what we'll do now is we'll go to Actuate Components, Diffuser, Actuators and Heater Fan. And what we'll do is we'll watch this spindle, hopefully it'll be in focus enough, and we'll go to the air mix flap and check that that's moving. So this is the air mix hatch servo motor that we're going to move. And what we can do with this test is increase its value. You can already see it's reset back to 0, but we'll watch this now and increase it to 100% and see what happens. You can see it's moving on here. So that seems to be working fine. Right, so I'm saying the 3-2 valve's getting stuck and it's shutting off the small circuit from the engine coolant. It's just, at the moment, we can't get it to do it. So the reason I think the customer is sometimes getting heat or is not got any heat at all is nothing to do with the air mix flap actuator, because we'd have faults for the actuator. All we've got is the quantity control valve current too high. So I think this valve, the 3-2 valve's getting stuck, and that's isolating his small circuit from the engine coolant. That's what I think he should change. So that's our cabin climate control issue. We'll have a look at, he had an exhaust system warning, so we'll have a look at EAS now. We'll go to fault code reading. Our old friend, particulate matter sensor, voltage too high or short circuit to positive. I can tell you now that will need a new sensor. There we go. Just sits on the exhaust there. I haven't got one of them. The customer can get one of them. Anyway, that's that. So we're down in Manchester. It's between Christmas and New Year currently. We've got a DAF CF Euro 6, but it's fitted with an LF PX7 engine. Apparently it's making some sort of popping sound through the induction, so I think we'll just get the cab over, see what's going on in the engine first, because I don't want to run it, because who knows what's going to happen. So anytime anybody mentions about popping or a pulsing noise through the induction, you can guarantee on an LF, especially a PX engine, that the push rods are bent in one of the cylinders most probably. So that's where we're going to start. This is our PX7 engine. We'll get the crankcase filter out of here. This pipe from the EGR cooler to the EGR valve off. These two electrical connectors here. These two breather pipes. And then we can get the rocker cover off and see what damage has been done in the engine. The hardest part of this job will be getting this bracket off the front, because sometimes them bolts don't like to play ball, but let's get into this. So that's our crankcase filter. We'll have these electrical plugs off here. Just managed to snap this off. It's the most brittle plastic I've ever touched, so we'll be a bit more gingerly with this. See what I mean? That's unbelievable. So that's two pipes I've got to get now. Yay! So the only thing left we've got to take off now is this pipe here from the EGR cooler to the EGR valve. Right, we can get these 6 bolts out of here now and get the rocker cover off. So these are all our rocker levers. And number 6 looks like it's unadjusted itself. Yay! All these other ones look alright, but it's definitely number 6. Right, is this bent? No. We'll find a straight edge or something flat to put this on and we'll just check it straight. But is it just that this has unadjusted itself and popped out? Hey, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Right, well, there's no gaps under this push rod. I'd say that's straight. It must have just unadjusted itself. Right, so we'll just have this rocker lever up. Out the way. We'll put our bridge or crosshead back on. We'll pop this back down. We'll run that back in and torque it up. There you go, don't want to snap it. Now we'll turn the engine over, set it to TDC and adjust number 6. What can be harder than finding TDC on an LF? Finding TDC on a CF with an LF engine in. So I've just got this over to TDC now. So that's a TDC at the front. Exhaust rocker lever's on its way down here now, which means we're good to set this particular 360 stroke, but we're not. We're just going to set number 6 here. So we'll go and get some feeler blades. Now I've just had to wind this quite far down to get it to meet the clearance tolerances. So I'm just going to whip this out because I think this push rod might be bent. There we go. Lesson for today, always check both push rods on the same cylinder. We won't be doing anything more to this today. Let's slap that back on there. Let's go order some parts. Right, let's get out of here. Next job. So we're down in Wales today to have a look at a DAF Tatra MX-13 engined Phoenix. And it's got a bunch of problems on this, so we'll jump in the cab and have a look what's going on. You might be thinking, what the hell is one of these? Well, the company's over 170 years old and is made by the Czech company Tatra. They build defence, forestry, mining, oil, gas, construction, trucks built for heavy off-road conditions basically. Now we might have a Packard engine, gearbox and cab, but the transmission after the tracks and gearbox is Tatra's own construction, with the independently suspended swinging half axles and air suspension. It's all bolted up to this central load carrying tube. Is your head spinning yet? Mine certainly is, so I've borrowed these pictures as it's quite a feat of engineering. Tatra's axles are a pair of driven crown wheels, one per half axle, left and right, and a pair of pinions transmitting the torque. The differential is placed outside the axle in the central load carrying tube, and unlike the classic axle solutions with a bevel differential, this is a so-called cylinder type differential, so the inner space of the housing is adapted for the swinging motion of the half axles, or crown wheels. All very complicated and very slick. If only it would stop overheating, which is why I've been called in. The customer has changed the temperature sensors to see if that stops it overheating, and usually I find the seals have worn around the thermostats, which is what we're going to change along with the thermostats themselves, as the customer has modified these, so putting it back to standard should help him out. We can run a test on the fan hub itself also to see if that's functional, so let's get into the video. So, what are we playing with today, boys and girls? Well, it looks very daffish, doesn't it? Let's just turn this steering wheel. So we've got speed limited to 12 mile an hour, AdBlue dosing malfunction, coolant temperature high even though it's cold, engine power reduced, engine malfunction, exhaust system malfunction. Wow, you'd almost think it was a DAF it had that many warnings on it. Right, let's get gel test from Eclipse Diagnostics plugged in and see what's going on. So we'll go to trucks, Tatra, Phoenix Euro 6. And there you go. We've got all the ECUs that are on the vehicle because technically it is a Packard product. So we've got anti-pollution issues. We've got engine warnings. What else did we have? I think that'll do us for now. Let's check fault code reading. What we got here? That's our torque reduction and speed limitation. We've got coolant temperature sensor valid data but above normal operating range. That's usually the thermostats. Oil temperature sensor. Again, that might be a heat issue or an actual malfunction on the oil temperature sensor. Particulate matter sensor, voltage high or short circuit to positive. That will be the actual sensor itself, so we'll have to change that, but I haven't got one. Current to lower open circuit, current to lower open circuit. These two faults, I think, together usually are an issue to do with the ECU overheating, but I'll have to check that. And the particulate filter efficiency, suck quantity out of the established limit. Well, we know what that's going to be, so we'll have to get the cover off the DPF and have a look at that. Yeah, so that's what we've got in PCI. Anti-pollution, a similar story, just a lot less faults. Fault code reading and anti-pollution, again, a lot less faults, DPF issue, PM sensor replacement, possible issues due to overheating. Right. So we'll just get the coolant out of this. It's no different to any other DAF. So it's been a while, but I'm actually using a stool to work on this today. There we go. So we're going to get this brace off the intercooler pipe here, get this pipe off the turbo, then we can get the wiring harness off the thermostat housing, and then we can get the thermostat housing off, and we can see what's going on in there. Because usually when these fail, the truck starts getting hot. So we'll get into this and see what's going on. So we've got the brace off here, we've got some bolts out there, and we've got the clamp off the turbo. We can now get this pipe out the way and get to the thermostat housing. So we've got some more bolts to get out of here now, and we'll most probably whip this hose right off here. So we've got the bolts out of the thermostat housing now, and the Jubilee clip off the pipe. Hopefully this comes off and we can get the thermostats out, but we'll give it a go. So we've got two thermostats to change now. So it's not just as simple as changing the thermostat. If you can see this black band around here, this is where the seal that's inside here wears. And I find when this wears and they drop in and out this easy, this is why the truck starts running hot. So that's the easy part. Getting the seal out of here, that's the hard part. So now we've got to get this seal out of the housing. Hopefully I can hook it out, but we'll give it a go. That's one seal. That's the other seal. One seal driving installing tool. We'll give this a tap, get this seated. So there are two new seals fitted in there. We can now put our thermostats in. Are these thermostats the same? No, they're not. This is a 91 degree thermostat. And this is a 85 degree thermostat. See, I can't even push these in here now with these new seals. That's how tight them seals should be round a thermostat. So I think that's the right way now. The 85's here and the 91's over there. They should just push in. With a bit of luck. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. So that's how tight the thermostats should be. We'll get the seal changed on the thermostat housing on the engine and we'll get it all back together. So we'll get this seal out of here. Hopefully it'll pull out. There we go. And we'll get our new one in, which is nice and soft. We'll dry this face off and we'll get the thermostat housing bolted back up. This bolt here was a nightmare. Not fun at all. Thermostat housing's back on. Jubilee clip's done up. We'll get this induction back on here now. I've saved you the pain of watching me strip off the cover from the DPF today, but we can see from the video why we're getting too much soot detected from the PM sensor before that gave up the ghost. I think this might need more than DPF seals. Luckily it hasn't moved, but from these pictures it certainly looks like it's got a bit more going on internally. Just going to run a test on the fan clutch. What this will do now is run the engine up to 1500 RPM and it must allow the fan to slip, and that slip must be lower than 15%. So we'll run this test now. This is all automated. We'll start up the truck now, and then we'll run this test and see what happens. So all our conditions are met now. The truck's at idle. We'll press continue. This is emptying the chamber in the fan hub. The truck's now at 1500 RPM, and once it's emptied the chamber, it will proceed with the test itself. As you can see, the engine speed's coming up to 1500. The fan speed, which is its requested value, should be 1500. But our fan speed is only 11.6, 11.7. So our required value there is 1.9%, but our real value is 19-20%. So we've got a deviation of 16% at the moment. So as far as I'm concerned, the fan hub needs replacing as it's not doing the correct slip ratio, and I've also been informed that due to a previous coolant leak, rad weld or bar seal was added to the coolant system. Has doing this reduced the radiator's ability to effectively dissipate the heat by blocking more than just the hole in the coolant system? Leave your answers to that one in the comments. And that's about it for this week's video. As always, if you don't want to miss anything from me, hit the old subscribe button. We all know YouTube works in mysterious ways. If you've enjoyed this week's video, please give it a thumbs up as it really helps out the channel. And we're just about to crack 10,000 subscribers now. Hopefully I'll catch you next week.